Yo, what's good campers, it's your boy Killer Beezy, and today we are here with another Justice video now, man. So, for those of you who didn't get a chance to check out the original first episode of the Justice series, make sure you go and check it out. I will put it up in the information tab up here. So, for those of you who didn't see, the first Justice episode was about Miles Morales, right? So it was Justice for Miles Morales, where we discussed a bit about, you know, what abilities we thought he should have, and how to kind of reflect the obviously champion correctly. So you know, that video got a lot of love and support, man. Thank you guys so much. But I did ask you guys to give some suggestions as to who you guys would want to see me do a Justice video for next, and a lot of the popular suggestions were Sentry, Storm, and Magneto. I've decided to go with Sentry for episode 2 because when I was doing my research, man, this dude just had so much about him. I could not believe that the character I was doing research on was the same character that I was seeing in game. Like, it just didn't make sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off with discussing Sentry's abilities in game, and then we're going to talk about his actual abilities outside of the game as an actual character. And then we're going to talk about like what we can do, what you know, Kabam could have done or maybe bring in to sort of buff him and make him more realistic to his actual character. I don't think they could do everything because it would just make him ridiculous in game. So what we'll do, so the main thing for Sentry is that he has a state of mind passive abilities. This is the main thing to know about Sentry, right? So Sentry's got a state of mind passive, right? So he's got 4 different modes as per se, based on your combo hit that he goes into, right? So the first one that he has is called Unyielding Fortitude. So it has a 100% chance on entering this state that Sentry cannot lose his combo and remains until Sentry changes stages, right? So those are for like the first 10 hits, right? So then for the second 10 hits, he goes into Overpowering Light, right? So that with that state of mind, he has a 100% chance on entering this state. Sentry's special 1 attack damage is increased by 240 per reality warp and is unblockable. It remains that until Sentry changes states again, right? So then from the 20 to 30 bracket, you then have Steadfast Approach, right? So it gives a 60% chance on entering the state. Sentry's heavy attack damage is increased by 240 per reality warp. In addition, he gains 100% chance perfect block, right? And again, it remains until Sentry changes states, right? So then the last bracket, which is the 30 to 40 hits, which you guys are probably seeing on the screen right now as we speak, you know, he's got the Absolute Strength, right? So it gives a 100% chance on entering the state that Sentry's special 2 attack damage is increased by 240 per reality warp and is unblockable, right? And it remains that until it changes again. Now, after those 40 hits, the cycle then starts all over, right? But after those 40 hits, you gain a reality warp, right? And I think you can gain up to 5 reality warps. So every time you add a reality warp, which is every 40 hits, you are literally going to be increasing your damage, right? So it's pretty, it might sound complicated, but it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, right? So, you know, with that being said, you know, there's a few things in there to increase your damage. You know, there's a few things in there for his hits to be unblockable. But all in all, man, I think the only other thing that is key is that the special 2 has a 100% chance to armor break opponents, and when your health is below 50%, when using the special 3 attack, Sentry consumes 1 reality warp to heal for 454.5 over 3 seconds, right? So he's got a little bit of healing in there, he's got a little bit of armor break in there, and then, you know, and a little bit of fury, and then obviously the fighting style that I mentioned to you guys earlier with all the Sentry's state of minds, right? Now, in my opinion, after doing research on this character, right, this nowhere near highlights how good or the potential that this character actually has, right? So, let's just read out the abilities that Sentry has. For those of you who don't know, some of you lot are like me, where you didn't read the comics and stuff like that. So, you know, seeing Sentry come into the game for the first time is the first time you're ever hearing about Sentry, right? So, for those of you that are in the same boat as me, let's read through Sentry's abilities, right? I want you to pay very close attention to this, okay? Right. Sentry's abilities, right? Superhuman strength, speed, and stamina. Regenerative healing factor. Light manipulation. Okay? Complete invulnerability, yeah? Complete invulnerability, yeah? Yeah? You heard that, yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah? Psionic powers. Flight. Enhanced senses, yeah? Molecular manipulation, I think it is pronounced. Molecular manipulation. Matter manipulation. Energy absorption, projection, okay? Gravity manipulation. Immortality. Teleportation. Telepathy. Astral projection. Weather manipulation. Invisibility. Mind thoughts projection. Time bending. And shapeshifting. My dude, yeah? This brother can do everything, yeah? This guy is like Superman's granddad, yeah? That had way more powers than Superman did, yeah? This dude is just, on paper, this dude is amazing. But when you look at the dude that we have in game, it's like, that ain't him, bro. Like, Kabam's got the wrong Sentry here. Like, yo, who's this guy? This is the fake Sentry that we're seeing in game. That's how it comes across, do you know what I mean? So, for me, it's like, you know, I even read somewhere that he's got the power to resurrect the dead. He can resurrect the dead, fam. What? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, everything that I was researching, I was reading, like, a few comics and read a few, like, of the fights that Sentry had. And I was just like, dude, this dude is crazy. This dude is strong. Like, and obviously to what we see in game, I just feel like we don't see that at all, man. We don't see that at all. I feel like, you know, there's so much that I feel like can be done, and not necessarily, sorry, to highlight all of Sentry's abilities, because I don't think it's fair to try and apply all of that in game, because he'd just be too strong. He'd be way too strong, right? But there are little things. So, for instance, obviously he has his Fury. The Fury covers, like, the superhuman strength side of things, in my opinion. Like, you know, the regenerative healing factor, I don't think this is covered well. If he can regen as good as the research that I've done, I feel like it needs to be a lot more than how Kabam have put it in the game, right? So, in saying that, the whole light manipulation, complete invulnerability and whatnot, yo, you've got so much that you can do with him based on, we have an invulnerability buff in the game, right? And I feel like, you know, he has a slight chance to use it with his duped ability, but it's not enough. They're basically saying this guy is immortal. Like, his invulnerability should be, like, you know, you've got so many characters like the Heimdall synergy, yeah, that Heimdall gives you if you're in his team, right? Where you take a hit, you go down to 1% health, and then it's like you can't die for a certain period of time, right? And then you've got like champions like obviously Gwenpool, who, you know, can't die by special attacks. You know, you've got Corvus, who, you know, can't die unless you kind of knock him down and you get rid of the glaive buff or whatnot. And then you've got like characters like Nick Fury, where when you take him down originally, like his health goes all the way back up. I feel like there's so many things that Kabam can do to show like, well, actually, you know, you take down Sentry and, like, you know, something happens. You know, last stand ability, where, you know, he gains like, so I don't know, he goes down to 1% health and he gains some crazy invulnerability buff for a certain amount of time. A bit like how Hela works. You know, he can gain a massive fury. He can gain like a big regen. A bit like Phoenix. I feel like, you know, all of that stuff needs to be brought in for Sentry, because I feel like Sentry, when we look at characters like Phoenix, Hela, Heimdall, you know, Corvus, like all these characters that can't just die easily, like, Sentry sounds like the father of all of those abilities from what I've read. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like he needs to have something like that, you know. And, you know, with this whole, like, him being able to manipulate a lot of things and the gravity manipulation and all that, I think that he should definitely have the slowed ability, you know, the ability to stop champions going unstoppable, the abilities that you see like Spider-Gwen, She-Hulk, and, you know, or sort of a lot of the newer champions, Stealth Spidey, the ability that you see them have, I feel like Sentry should definitely have that. He should definitely have the ability to slow champions down with the amount of manipulation that he can bring, the telepathy. You know, I feel like he should be immune. Another person that should be immune to inverted controls. You know, I feel like he you know, with the fact that he can go invisible, I feel like there should be a chance that, you know, you should be able to miss. You should be able to kind of, you know, like he should have some kind of mechanic where you have a chance of missing him when doing your combos or whatnot, you know, and more importantly, like, you know, looking at Sentry as a character, I feel like because of the link with him and Void and the connection he has, obviously, with Void in game with the SP3s and whatnot, I feel like he should have like a similar. It would be good if they replicated each other to a certain extent, a bit like how you see like Doctor Strange is like the, you know, gaining buffs, and Symbiote Supreme is sort of like more the negative, like, you know, applying debuffs. I feel like that it would be so sick if, you know, over a period of time, just like Void does, you know, kind of Sentry just gains buffs. You know, like, I feel like that should happen. I feel like he should gain a vulnerability buff for a certain amount of time. He should just randomly gain a fury buff for a certain period of time. He should gain a regen buff over a certain period of time. And then, like, you know, you can do additional specials and stuff to activate some of the other abilities that make him as strong as he actually is, man. So let me know what you guys think about all this in game. Let me know if you guys have any ideas that you feel like Kabam could do to buff this champion, because I feel like this champion is nowhere near a representation of how strong the actual the actual character is outside of this game. And I feel like they need to somehow bring a percentage of his abilities into game, because I don't think this character reflects the actual Marvel character in the comics at all, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys, and also don't forget to let me know who you guys want to see in the Justice episode 3. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy Killer Beezy. I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Peace.